Hello everyone, welcome to my review of Five Nights at Freddy's, or FNAF, the movie, based on the video game series that has so many fans. And let me, before we get started into the movie, talk a little bit about my experience with the video games. I played the first game, didn't like it, never picked up another one. The gameplay style just wasn't for me. Not calling the games bad, it literally just wasn't for me. However, I have seen the FNAF games thanks to Super Gaming Brothers, or SGB as they are called. What's with all these like shortenings? Anyway, that is my experience with this series. So when this movie came out back in 2023, I didn't care. I didn't want to see it. I didn't have a plan to see it. I was probably never going to see it. But then my sister has been going with me to these movies, you know, like Marvel movies and stuff like that. I've taken her to movies. And I told her once, like, hey, if you ever want to go to a movie, you know, you could just ask, right? You don't have to, like, I'll say yes. I mean, you go to my movies, I can go to yours. So then she named the sequel to this bad boy, and I was like, oh god, what have I done? Why did I offer that tree branch, okay? So yeah, I'm going to the second movie, so who's ready for some Five Nights at Freddy's? I was not excited, because also, the thing is that this movie has not gotten the most stellar of reviews. It seems like fans like the fan service that's in the movie, and nobody else really likes anything else from the movie outside of the fans. So, let's talk a little bit about the plot. So, the plot of this movie is, well, it's kind of like the games, but also not, because that is the problem, and then saying anything more is spoilers, because they are, look, the game is all about sitting there, looking at camera screens, until scary, spooky stuff happens. But the thing is, you have 5 nights. Now, the thing is, the logical choice for this movie to go is you go with one night and have a bunch of spooky stuff happen, and there you go, you got your movie. But it's called Five Nights at Freddy's, so we also have to explore stuff that are outside of the 5 nights, you know, during the daytime, and that is 100% when the movie falls apart. The daytime parts are just horrible. But anyway, the story goes like this. So we have a main character named Mike, and he works as a security guard, but he gets fired, so he needs a new job, and he gets a job at this place called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. He has to work here as a security guard, and that is all I'll say, because anything else is really a spoiler. Outside of one thing, but that's more related to a character. So let's get into the casting then, shall we? So starting off, we have Josh Hutcherson as Mike Smith, our main character. And he's fine, you know, he's very sleepy. That's what he is. He's a security guard who likes to sleep. And man, for the first half of this movie, I could 100% relate, because I also wanted to sleep, very much wanted to sleep. So then after that, we have Piper Rubio as Abby, Mike's younger sister, and someone who speaks to imaginary people. So she has a small little mental illness as well. And she was fine in the movie, you know, she's adorable because, you know, she's a little, so that automatically makes her adorable. But I didn't really hate her acting necessarily. It wasn't like stellar or anything, but like I've seen worse child actors. Let's just go with that one. Then after that, we have Elizabeth Lale as Vanessa, a local police officer who gets entangled in this mess as well some way. And then after that, we have Matthew Lillard as Steve Raglan, Mike's career counselor who appears in this movie. And he was fine, you know, I mean, saying anything else could potentially induce spoilers, so we're not gonna go into that one, into his character anymore, because he is a big part of the movie, kind of, but like, he's fine. Everyone in this movie is fine. And then finally, we have the last human character, and that is Mary Stuart Masterson as Aunt Jane, the aunt of Mike and Abby. And let me just talk a little bit about her plotline in this movie and why it needs to be cut. So her whole storyline in this movie is that she wants custody of Abby because of reasons. This storyline should have been cut. Why is this in the movie? This is the most boring stuff I've ever heard of. This is what actually made me dislike the movie. I was watching the movie, I was like, okay, can we get to the spooky stuff? And then there was this whole like legal thing. I was like, why is this in the movie? Like, why? I don't even think this is really a spoiler, because it's just the worst part of the movie. I hated this plot line in the movie. Absolutely garbage. So then afterwards, let's talk about the animatronics that are in this movie as well. Starting off, we obviously have Freddy Fazbear. We also have Foxy. We get Bonnie, and also Chica. And also, according to the wiki, this is the only one whose name I actually did not know. We have Mr. Cupcake, also known as Carl Carl the cupcake. Sure, why not? And to be honest, they look really good in the movie. I will say that they look really good in the movie. Now, I don't really know what they are like in the actual games, you know, because like I said, I haven't played them, and the last time I watched them was like, I don't know, 10 years ago or something like that. I have no idea. But anyway, I have no idea like what they are like in the games, but I thought that they were fun in the movie. I like the way that they move, you know, they have like that creepy movement a little bit. And yeah, that's really all I can say without really going into spoilers. And my main problem with this movie is the fact that it is supposed to be a horror movie, yet it has the absolute weakest jump scares I have ever seen in my life. Nothing in this movie scared me. There's also a plot brewing in the background, and the big plot twist that we get towards the end of the movie, I already knew the moment that it started. I was like, oh, so that's gonna happen. And then at the end of the movie, it was like, that happens. I was like, yeah, I knew it. Because of the fact that it is so obvious. Like, that whole thing is so obvious. Like, there's a thing about it that was not necessarily obvious, but I didn't play the games, so I did not really, you know, expect certain things. But like, the big plot twist to me was very predictable. You have a stupid subplot about like custody battle, which I could not care less about, but it tries its best to be interesting about, like, you know, the lore of these animatronics. And while I'm saying it tries, it doesn't really succeed. So let's just go into the final verdict then, because there's not much else for me to say. So my final verdict for Five Nights at Freddy's is going to be a 5 out of 10. And no, I'm not giving it that because of the fact it's Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm giving it that because I literally, even if I tried my utmost best, I couldn't even go higher, even if I wanted to. This movie is average to me. And now I know a lot of people like trash on this movie. I'm not in that boat, because by the end, I was actually kind of enjoying myself, you know? The final act of the movie had some enjoyment, and there's also this like burglary scene that I also enjoyed. But outside of those two like sequences, the rest of the movie kind of falls apart, and it doesn't have the interesting writing in order to keep the story that they want to tell engaging. And maybe also I'm a little bit harsher about this movie because I actually had to pay for it, because on none of the streaming services that I own, and I have 3 of them, none of them have Five Nights at Freddy's, the movie. It's on none of them. So that made me... Also, this movie was directed by Emma Tammy, and I don't know if it's her fault or it's the writer's fault, but someone's at fault, and great, they're back for the next movie. That doesn't give me faith. But like, I was expecting a horror movie when I went into it, and it's not. It is very much a PG-13 movie. There, like I said, there are some scenes where I'm like, oh my god, but it felt like there was more horror in the Avatar movies than in this movie. So that's it. I just want to get into spoilers so I can close the book on this one. So let me know what you guys thought about this movie, and also to all of the Five Nights at Freddy fans, did you actually like that subplot about the custody battle? Like, did you actually enjoy that? What did that add to your perfect Five Nights at Freddy's movie? Please explain that in the comment section down below. Now, by the way, I will not write this off completely because of the fact that they can improve in the sequel. I just don't know if they're going to. But with that being said, thank you all so very much for watching, and I do hope you guys have enjoyed. And if you did, please like button, subscribe if you're new with us already, turn on notifications, don't forget, check out the Let's Play channel in the description and at the end of the video. And I'll see you guys in about an hour for that spoiler talk. And also, I'll see you guys next week for my review of Avatar: The Way of Water. Bye!